Where do Pakistan and India stand today? We are exactly at the same historical spot where the Europe was in 1938, before the start of the Second World War. Hitler had democratically come to power in Germany, but soon his fascist ideology had taken over entire Germany, and those with vision could see that he is going to expand his borders. He is going to invade his neighbors. But most of the people in the world could not see that. This is exactly where we stand today in South Asia today. Modi has come to power democratically, but he has an equally fascist Hindutva ideology, which is expansionist, which is savage, which is brutal, which is Hindu supremacist ideology. And they plan to expand. They claim that land which Pakistan constitutes of belongs to India, the concept of Akhand Bharat or Greater India. There is absolutely no possibility of a peaceful coexistence between Pakistan and India now. It's like assuming a peaceful coexistence between Germany and France, or Germany or Poland, or Germany or Russia. Impossible. So, what is delaying Modi's invasion of Pakistan? Softening up operations are already going on. 100,000 Pakistanis have died in the last 15 years at the hand of multiple insurgencies supported by Indian intelligence RAW and Indian establishment against Pakistan. I mean, there's been absolute, incredible, staggering bloodshed has taken place in Pakistan. We have lost 100,000 people in an undeclared war. And now in almost every province of Pakistan, there are insurgencies. Every day Pakistan is losing few soldiers, civilians. Every month the figure runs into dozens of officers and men lost. So we are constantly bleeding. And now when India has annexed Kashmir, formally annexed Kashmir, they already had it, but it was a disputed territory, but now they have formally annexed it. And now they plan to come into Pakistan. They claim they will take the Pakistani Kashmir, and for that they need to create urban chaos in Pakistan first, so that Pakistan army is bogged down in internal security duties. See, why do I say that India plans a war against Pakistan? The fact is that Pakistan has a pacifist government. Pakistan's economy is weak, and Pakistan army is already involved in handling multiple insurgencies within our borders. So there is no geopolitical reason for Pakistan to actually go aggressive against India at this stage. But Modi has actually brought himself to a point, at a spot, where he has no option but to attack Pakistan to salvage his image within India. Modi is, if you compare Modi with any other world leader, that will be Trump, who was hardcore ideological, but very divisive, very stupid. And when Trump left, he has left United States deeply divided on the verge of a civil war. This is exactly what Modi is doing to India. First, he went after the Muslims, annexation of Kashmir and the Muslim registers, registering Muslims all over the India, and the fascist ideology of attacking Muslims. But then he went, as they say, he started to bite too much beyond his capacity to chew. He triggered this farmers' revolt, as we are seeing it these days. And these are not ordinary farmers. These are Sikhs. These are Punjabis. And these are martial races. These are the ones who constitute the majority of the Indian army, the cutting edge. The blade of the sword is actually the Sikh farmers. And now they are up in arms against the Indian government, because the new corporate laws that they have brought in basically deny the farmers to graze their own crops, sell their own crops, or settle their prices. And the corporate takeover of the small farmer is obviously being resisted. So what option does Modi have? Because of the COVID lockdowns, he has destroyed the economy of the Indian Union as well. Millions of Indians are jobless. They are out on the street. They've got nothing to eat. And there's a complete social upheaval going on in India. Every major Indian corporation is suffering loss of billions of dollars. So where does that make? What option does Modi have now? And the only option that he has to salvage his image is to go against Pakistan, capture some territory, and then claim a moral political high ground that he has finally started the march towards creation of the greater India, which was his promised dream on which he had won the elections. And for that, you see that India is spending literally hundreds of billions of dollars on weapon acquisition, modernization of its armed forces, purchase of all kind of high-tech equipment, surveillance equipment, satellites, naval warfare, aircraft carriers. It's unbelievable, the inventory that India is purchasing right now, while the entire Indian economy is collapsing. So why would India be doing that? And the simple reason is, as I said, that today we stand at a point where a final war with India, between India and Pakistan, can actually trigger any moment. Within weeks, within months, is immaterial. I personally feel within this year. Because the pressure on Indian Union is too intense now. They're imploding from within and they need to release that pressure. So how would that turn up in the larger perspective? Where would China stand? Where would the United States go? So naturally, this war, regional war, will definitely escalate. The allies would join in. The Americans are fully on board with the Indians. Israelis are fully on board with the Indians. And Chinese, they have a strategic stake with Pakistan, but I do not think Chinese would like to sacrifice themselves for the sake of Pakistan. So for all practical purposes, Chinese may give us military equipment and hardware, but the fighting will have to be done by Pakistan and its allies, means perhaps Turks, Azerbaijanis, or even Afghans for that matter. But for all practical purposes, it will be a war that Pakistan will have to fight alone with all its resources. And it's going to be ugly. I know that, because the Pakistani nation is not prepared for it. Pakistani government is in denial, and armed forces are assuming that by sending out gestures of peace and maintaining a pacifist, reactive, defensive attitude, they can probably stall the outcome, which is impossible, because we are up against a very aggressive, insane, fascist ideology, and they have sensed blood. They have sensed the weakness within Pakistani society. And they're not going to miss this opportunity. It's an opportunity they have got in 1,000 years, because for 1,000 years, Muslims ruled India. And the sense of humiliation and subservience and the defeat, the shame that they feel within themselves is too intense. And they feel it's a time that they can take revenge for the 1,000 years Muslim rule. So be it, as you say. The events, the lots of wild cards are going to be at play once that happens. Nobody can predict how would that war play out. Would nuclear weapons be used? Depends again. If India breaks through international borders and enters into Pakistani cities, where would Pakistani use its nukes? Not even, we can't use them on our own cities. And that's what India is counting on. A massive, powerful breakthrough, a blitzkrieg through the Pakistani defenses to at least capture some of the Pakistani border cities, so that Pakistan Army's trump card is stumped, is completely trumped, and will have to fall back, revert back to the conventional war, urban wars. And that is the most probable scenario. So in the coming days, when I tell the Pakistani nation and the armed forces to prepare for war, I'm actually not warmongering, as I said. I'm only an early warning radar. War is inevitable. And it's always better to be a warrior in a garden than to be a gardener in a war.